Okay, good afternoon once again. We are still on production management, but that is not as broader as the human resource management. As you think in 2 weeks' time, we should be able to finish with production management. So far, we have talked about the meaning of production. We've also talked about the resources that we use in production, and we said that they are the factors of production. Then we talked about another important aspect of production, and that was the forms of production. We talked about 5 forms of production as we have done the categorization in business management, and we related to the 3 types. In economics, we say types of industry. So we related to that, and we said the primary production is the same as the one we call extractive. Then we look at the manufacturing and constructive, and we said that is what we call the secondary production. And we look at the 2 services, personal service and commercial service. And then we said the 2 are the tertiary. Today, we are now going to enter into what production management is. You remember when we were talking about human resource management, we learned about what human resources before we came to what human resource management is. And that is where you have to note, because human resource is not the same as human resource management. Prior to that, we had already done the various definitions of management. So when we did what human resource was, then it was very easy for us to know what human resource management was all about. Now we are in production management. So we have done production, we have done management. So today we are going to look at 2 aspects of production management. We'll be looking at the meaning of production management. So when you say production management, what is it? Now, if you had been in school, I would have asked you to define in your own words or to explain in your own words what you think production management would be, having done production and then management. So what is production management? Very simple. Now you know we use resources to produce goods. So we have done factors of production. We have done management. There had been several definitions. If you pick books on production management, or what they call production and operations management, if you should pick 100 books, you may have 100 definitions of production management. Today, we are going to look at one definition that may be very simple for you by 2 authors, Chase and Aquilani. How did they define production management in their book, Production and Operations Management? Now, they said that when you say production management, there is production and there is management. So they said it is the management. So production management, according to Chase and Aquilani, production management is the management of what? You remember the general definition of management is that it is the process of planning, organizing, directing, controlling human and material resources. So all those things: planning resources, organizing resources, directing resources, controlling resources. And we have done all those things. So he said, when you say production management, then you are looking at the management of the resource input the resources that we use in the production of goods and the rendering of useful services. When you are managing, and remember when you talk about management, it includes some elements, and there are those I have just mentioned: planning, organizing, directing, and controlling human and material resources in order to achieve the objective of the organization. So they said these resource inputs, these resources, they call them direct resources that are required in the production of goods by an organization. It's what we call production management, according to the two authors, Chase and Aquilano. So if you look at it here, you see they said production management is defined as the management. So the key word here, management, and you know what goes into the management. So management of direct resources. So all the resources you use, we will come to the production process and you know the resources. So management of direct resources, and these resources we have here, the human resource, the material resource or equipment, energy, capital, information. So management of these resources, so direct resources required to produce the goods and services of an organization. That is what Chase and Aquilano defined production management. Others also will make it so simple. That is why I said if you had been in school, I would have asked you. Others will pick the two terms. And what are the terms? Now today I'm going to surprise you. I will not be doing it alone. There is somebody here, and when you see the person, you'll be surprised to see the person. So without wasting much time, I will not mention the name. When you see the face, you know the person. Now come. You see, yes. Give bye-bye there. Okay. So that is that one. So I'll be doing the teaching with her. She is in school for a certain program. So she is benefiting directly. So I want to do it with her. So when you look at the other definition, some people will define production, and then they will define management and combine the two. So they will define production, they will define management, and then they will combine the two. And that is what she's going to do. Now let's look at it here. Now, you see production, there is production here. Let me see whether we can. Let me move this thing here. Good. Okay. So there is production. So it is production plus management. And then the management have planning, organizing, directing, and controlling. So those who are going to define it by first defining production and then management. For example, the person will define production as this. So read what is here. What is production according to those people? What will they say?
Production is the process of converting input.
So it is the process of converting input. So that is the resource input. You convert. You go through a conversion process, which we have already done, or transformation process. So you convert input. So in that process, where you convert input, so the input include, so the input will be man, that will be the human resource, the worker. Then the second one, the input, the material that you are using, the material resources. The next one, money, which is funds. The machines and what? So these are what they call the 5 M's. The various resource input. You see, each one of them started with M. What was the first one? Man. That is the human resource. What was the second one? Method. The various production technologies that you'll be using, the various methods that you use in the production of that particular product. So the method, the materials that you'll be using, the raw materials and what have you,
Money.
Then you also talk about money. You talk about money. So all these and the methods, all these things, these are, so when you are converting the input, these are the input,
into desired output.
So the conversion, there is something that you want to come out with, the desired output, what the customer, what the consumer wants. So you go through the various process to convert the input into the desired output. So when you were here, some of you were going to buy Tasty Chef. You go to the market to buy Banku. The person first had the various input. If it is Banku, what were the various inputs? You know. If it is rice, what was it? So you convert it into the desired output. What you wanted to have. So the desired output, that will be it. So you convert in production, you convert the input to the desired output. Then they will then define management. So that is production. Then they will define management. Now I have made this sure so you know what the P is. So what is management? So it's the process of planning, organizing,
directing, and controlling.
And controlling what? The materials.
Plants.
The materials will include the what? Plants. Money. And then the plant, remember, that is the machines. So machinery, that will be the plant. The plant, that is the machinery. The materials, money. Production technologies.
And other aspects of
work environment. And other aspects. So they are planning, organizing, directing, and controlling all these and other aspects of the work environment. When we are talking about human resource management, we learned about what work environment is all about. Work environment,
to ensure the availability of desired output for consumption.
So that is how they will define production. This is production, this is management. So the two together, when you combine the two, then you now get what production management is all about. So it's the management of the various inputs. The various, you know what all those inputs are into a desired output that the customer may need. So that is for production management. So we know what production management is all about now. Now let's move to the next thing, which is the process of production. Production process, the production process. There's a diagram here to explain what the production process is all about. Now let's see whether you can get closer to this one. Okay, so this is the diagram. Now, if you look at it, the first aspect here, we have the resource input. We have the resource input. Now, let you read. Let me put it down and then you read. So, we have the resource input, this arrow, and these are the resource input. Then you go through the conversion process here. Then you get the desired output. That desired output will go to the customer, and the customer will give you feedback. So this is feedback. So the customer will give you feedback, and that will be the final element. So this thing you see here is a system. So the production process, the whole thing is a system, and each one here is an element. So every system has various elements. Every system has the various elements. So you look at this one, the resource input. What are the resource input?
Human resource.
So we have the human resource.
Material or equipment.
The material resource or the equipment.
Energy.
energy. And when you say energy, you know what we are talking about. Gas, electricity, you can even have water energy. So energy,
Capital.
The capital,
Information.
then you also need information. All these resources are needed. They are the input. They are the input. Then the input will go through a transformation process. When it goes through the transformation process, then the output comes out. What is the output here?
Goods and services.
So the goods and then the services or commodities, that will be the output. Then the output will move to the customer. Then this customer, when the customer gets the product, then the customer will give you feedback. And it's the feedback that will enable you to know whether the product is of quality, whether you need to improve upon the quality, and so on. That is why information is very important in the production process. Information is important because when you look at this one, the customer would have to give you the feedback. You also need to conduct research. If you go to the hospital, the doctor needs your previous record. That is, they call it your history. So information is very critical in production, in the production process. So the whole of this thing is telling us what the production process is all about. So we are going to move to a table. And that table is actually going to, we are going to look at these things. We know the input, we know the process, we know the output. So we are going to pick various organizations. And then we will look at the resource input that they use. And then we will look at the transformation process that they go through. Then finally, we look at the desired output. So move to this direction. So this column, you can go back a little. So this column talks about the organization. And here in the organization, the first one.
Hospital.
So we have the hospital. Second one,
Barber shop.
we have the barber's shop. The next one,
Oil refinery.
so we have oil refinery. And then the last one is restaurant. So these are 4 organizations. Then you see, we look at this and we say resource input. Resource input. So what is the primary input that they use at the hospital? Now here we look at it from the general perspective, human resource. At the hospital, what name do we give to the human resource? So when you come to hospital, the primary input include doctors, nurses, patients. So the doctors, nurses will certainly be the human resource. And then you have the patient, the one who is sick and had gone to the doctor. Then the next, so we have the various equipment at the hospital. And you can mention them. They are a lot. So we have generalized them and say equipment. Hospital equipment.
Medicine.
The medicine. Energy. And remember, energy here, we are looking at electricity. We are looking at the use of gas. We are looking at energy in any form. So energy, medical research, that is the information, and so on and so forth. Then when you have this resource input, it will go through the transformation process. So this is the transformation process. So what is the transformation process in respect of the hospital? What is it? Healthcare. So the transformation process in hospital is specifically called healthcare or medical treatment. So I'm receiving medical treatment. She is receiving medical treatment. That is the transformation process. Then when you have gone through this transformation process, healthcare or medical treatment, then the desired output will be what?
Healthy.
So the one who went there and was sick will now become healthy. All things being equal, the person will be healthy. So healthy patient or healed patient. So that is for hospital. Then the next organization is what?
Barber shop.
So when you go to the barber shop, what are the resource input? The barber himself. The barber himself. That is the human resource. Then he may have other workers. Then the various tools. What are the tools that the barber uses? You know the tools that the barber uses. I'm not here to mention them to you. So the various tools. Then the customer will be there. Then the next one is what? Hair product. Some of you go to the barber, you come and you have dyed your hair. You use certain creams and so hair products. Then your electricity. When you go there and they don't have electricity, they cannot even work. They cannot even work. So electricity, that will be the energy. That will be the energy here. Then you go through the transformation process. And what is the transformation process in the barber shop? So there will be hair cutting and hair styling. So that will be the transformation process. The styling process, hair cutting. Then the desired output will be what? Well-groomed customer. So when you come and say, wow, you have become handsome, you have become beautiful. Wow, who was the barber? Well-groomed customer. That unkempt hair that you went to the place with. Some of you come to school, your hair becomes so unkempt. You are asked to go to the barber shop, then you come out a well-groomed customer. So that is for the barber's shop. The third organization is what?
Oil refinery.
So when you go to the oil refinery, like the Tema oil refinery, what will be the resource input? So we have the resource input here. So what will be the resource input there?
Crude oil.
So we have the crude oil,
Workers.
the workers there.
That's it, the engineers.
So the workers there will include the engineers, technicians,
Refinery machine.
So we have the refinery machine.
And we have the
Your capital. Then you go through transformation process. In the at the hospital, we have healthcare or medical treatment. When you came to the barber shop, you have hair cutting or the styling process. Now when you come to oil refinery, as the name is, what will be the transformation process?
refining process.
So we have the refining process. So you refine. So refining process. Then what will be the output, the desired output? When you have gone through the refining process, you get what?
Various petroleum products.
So you get the various petroleum products, including diesel, gas oil, you have jet fuel, and then they are all refined petroleum. So that will be the desired output. Then the last one here, very simple, straightforward, is the fourth organization is what?
Restaurant.
So we go to a restaurant. What would be the resource input there? So the primary input will be what?
Chef.
So you have the chef, and who is the chef? You know the chef. That will be part of the human resource. So the chef is there.
Wait staff.
So we have the wait staff, we have the waitress.
Food ingredients.
So you have the food ingredients. If you should go to Tasty Chef, what will be the food ingredient? If you should go to the touch shop and you want to go and buy what you used to buy, what will be the food ingredient? So the food ingredients, energy. The energy, some of them will be using what? Gas, electricity, and so on and so forth. Some may be using coal pot and other things. Some may be using firewood. All those are the energy we are talking about. And that will be the resource input. So at the restaurant, what will be the transformation process?
Cooking.
So cooking is the transformation process. And in cooking, you remember when we were in JHS, probably we did the various methods we used to in cooking. You talk about boiling, you talk about frying, and a whole lot of others. So the cooking process, so cooking or we say what? Food preparation. Then when you have gone through that process, then the desired output comes out, and that will be what?
Delicious meal.
So delicious meal served to customers. So that is the production process. And that brings us to the end of this afternoon's lesson. Today or this afternoon, we looked at the meaning of production management, where we talk about the definition given by Chase and Aquilano in their book, Production and Operations Management. They said when you say production management, you are looking at the management of the various direct inputs that are required in the production of goods and rendering of services for the desired output to the customer. Then we also look at the meaning of production. We look at the meaning of management, and we merge the two to give a second definition. Then we also came to the production process, where we have the various resources or the resource input that will go through the transformation process to give us the desired output, which will go to the customer. Remember, we learned that production is never complete until the goods get to the final user in our previous lesson. Then we said the customer will give you feedback. Having done that, we picked 4 organizations. We looked at the barber's shop. We looked at what goes on in a restaurant. We look at what goes on in an oil refinery, and so on and so forth. Then we look at the various resource inputs that are used there. We look at the transformation process, the register or the term you use for that one. Then we look at the desired output for that. Till we meet again another time to continue with our lesson on production management.
It's bye-bye.
Bye-bye.